Hello, and welcome to SCAN's Community Connection. I'm your host, Tom Hayes, and my day job is Director of Customer and Community Relations for New Jersey Natural Gas. But now I get to be the host of this wonderful show where we introduce you to many wonderful and fantastic community leaders all around our area. So today is no exception. We have a phenomenal person, and Anna Diaz-White is our guest, and she's with 180. She's the Executive Director. And wow, is she a powerhouse. I've had the good fortune of knowing Anna since I think she was 3 when she started with the organization. So, so Anna, welcome to SCAN's Community Connections.
Thank you so much, Tom. It's a pleasure to be here. And we love SCAN. We try to reach out to them and do a lot of work with them in terms of referrals, et cetera.
Yes, which is great. And I think that's important for all our viewers and our members to know that, because what everybody's going to learn about all the wonderful services that you provide, everybody should know, whether they need it for themselves or a family member or a neighbor or just an acquaintance, or, you never know. So again, thank you very much, Anna, for being here. Again, it's a pleasure for me just to talk to you because we've been friends for so long, but really it's great that we get some really good information out to the folks. So I'm going to start off right away with what types of services does 180 Turning Lives Around offer to county residents?
So we are the countywide domestic violence and sexual assault services agency for Monmouth County residents. So the services we provide are hotlines, an emergency shelter, some long-term housing, counseling, assistance at family court, therapeutic services for children that have been exposed to family violence and abuse, domestic violence response teams. Those are volunteer members of our organization that meet victims at police departments all over the county. Sexual violence response teams that meet survivors of rape and sexual assault at hospital emergency rooms, all 5 area hospital emergency rooms in the county. So that's just kind of a broad review. And we also work with Adult Protective Services, which is the designated organization in Monmouth County for abuse of older persons as well.
Wow, it's a lot. It's a lot. And obviously very important, very serious work, right? I mean, intense, serious work that you're involved with. So again, not for the weak of heart or weak of stomach for that matter. You and your team are just, phenomenal people that are doing a really difficult job out there in the community. And thank goodness that we have you out there doing it, because
thank you, Tom.
Yep.
I have to say, these subjects, family violence and abuse and sexual abuse and sexual violence, rape. A lot of us don't like to think about these things, but what you said in the introduction is so true. Whether you are affected or a loved one is affected, there's an organization that's there to provide all kinds of help and support. So nobody should go through these things alone. And It's never too late to get help.
Right. And there's no shame involved. There's nothing.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
This is important stuff that, people get involved with in situations they don't know. Sometimes the worst in people come out later on in life, whatever it might be. And, one of the things we'll talk about now is the stress of the pandemic. How has that affected the individuals and the families that you deal with? Right. I mean, that's another.
You're absolutely right. So, I mean, for all of us, right, that have been either lost jobs or have become more isolated because we weren't able to do the normal things that we did, or go to the clubs or organizations that we might be members of, or go to work. The isolation and the lack of contact with other people has exacerbated a lot of concerns for people, whether that's violence or abuse, substance abuse, mental health concerns. And for older persons, and I'm thinking, those people 60 and up who might be your viewers, the isolation and the pressures on caregivers and the pressures on individuals who are isolated at home has really increased abuse and violence. And we've seen that with our calls on the hotline, with people coming to court to get court assistance, and more than 3 times as many people in our emergency shelter than we've ever seen in this past year.
Wow. And I think, another thing I know you'd mentioned was also the stress of moms having to teach their kids at
Yeah,
home,
yeah,
like all that, like these kids being home from school it's so overwhelming for these moms that still have to work. And if they're in an abusive relationship on top of that, I can't even imagine how they make it through.
yeah, yeah. It really is a tremendous amount of stress on families. And then you have financial pressures on top of that. If people have been laid
Yes.
off or lost their jobs or their job hours have been cut, you have the financial pressures on top of all of this, everything else. And the outlets that people used to have, whether it's, going out or meeting friends or, having family events or, even going to church, right?
Right.
Almost everything that was an outlet for people was greatly reduced or eliminated for so long.
Yeah, and you're right. And that outlet could be for the abuser as well as
Yeah,
the family member. That's so nobody's going out. So
yeah,
might
yeah,
have been that break when the abuser went out and was out for the evening. So
right,
didn't have to deal with that. Now everybody's crammed, nobody can go anywhere, and it's
yeah,
difficult. So
yeah. I'm hoping it gets better with the promotion of more vaccines, and certainly I've already
yes,
received my first dose. I'm looking forward to getting my second dose. So
yes.
definitely encourage people to do that.
Yep, that's great. Good for you. So like what types of challenges has your organization in maintaining these services for those in need, on a regular basis?
Well, I think for us, the one of the, basic things is, about a quarter of our budget depends on fundraising. And so you can't have events like you used to have, and events by Zoom are kind of getting, everybody's getting fatigued by those as well.
Mm,
And, fundraising is tough in this kind of environment. We've been blessed. We've gotten a lot of foundation and corporate support despite the pandemic, but that's been a challenge. And then for providing client services, for a while there, all our client services, almost all our client services except shelter, were remote. So we had to, like all other organizations, quickly create ways for our clients to reach us via, obviously via cell phone, via the internet, via computers, that was secure. And so that was a challenge that, I'm glad that to say that we did meet. But
that's
not the
that's
same as in person, in my
no.
feeling, but definitely made a difference.
Yeah, I that's a really good point because again, you're helping everyone at all different strata of
Right,
wealth and poverty, whatever it might be. And you're right, there's some people that don't have internet access at their homes and don't
correct,
basic equipment. I've talked to people
right,
that have computers that don't have like cameras in them and stuff and
exactly, right,
all that stuff. So,
right.
to be that outlet or to help, people, get some of that equipment, whatever they may need or something, that's another critical piece of all this. And
Yeah,
thank goodness for organizations like yourselves and others that really focus on that and have been trying to help, gap that divide that we always talk about. Never has it been more important or as impactful as it has been right now, whereas
you're
everything
right.
things virtually, right?
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
So now, what would you wish your viewers would know about domestic violence and sexual assault and the people that these crimes affect in our community?
I think the first thing that people need to understand is that these kinds of things can happen to everybody, and in fact, do happen to everybody. So FBI and statistics and crime statistics throughout the country and in our county and state indicate that 1 out of 4 women and 1 out of 10 I'm sorry, 1 out of 7 men have been affected by domestic abuse or sexual abuse at some point in their life.
Wow.
1 out of 10 older persons have been abused and or suffer from abuse or neglect. And so that means that all of your viewers know somebody, if not themselves, who've been affected by one of these crimes. And
Wow.
so nobody should feel shame. And there's organizations that can help. You shouldn't suffer in silence. You should not have your family members suffer in silence. There's help available today, thank goodness. And they should reach out by calling our hotline and or going through our website, which is www.180nj.org.
That's great. And over the last several years, like the Me Too movement and some other efforts have really brought this out. And even now, as we're watching what's happening with Governor Cuomo and all that, like, you know, it's more and more people, women in particular, which I think is great, are feeling strong enough to be able to come out and speak against this and speak up if something's happened to them, which is amazing and wonderful. And I really have to thank organizations like yours, 180, that, you know, has always promoted that, has always pushed women to, like, don't sit silently and suffer. Don't suffer and don't have your children suffer. Like, you know, there are ways to get out of this. It's not easy, especially as we talk about women, let's say in the wealthier strata. It's hard to leave their homes and their or whatever their situation is. You know, a lot of these moms have given up their own careers to be stay-at-home moms or whatever it might be, and there's so much at risk. But, you know, over and over again, everything, you know, I've heard from your clients and from yourself and from your team is that when these women get out of this, they're just so grateful, and their families are so much better off. Their children have healthier lives. It's, you know, sometimes
Absolutely.
It's done.
But it's scary, right? It's very frightening. And, and, you know, the beauty of it is that we're here to help support people in terms of planning, even safety planning, how to leave safely. You know, there's better ways to leave a relationship that's violent and abusive than others. And we can help guide that process for individuals out there. I also want to mention that we have staff that are well-versed in LGBTQ services and counseling as well. And so anyone who identifies differently in terms of their gender or gender identity shouldn't hesitate to reach out to us, because we're well prepared to help those individuals. And I've read research that in many cases, transgendered individuals, et cetera, experience even higher rates of domestic violence and sexual violence, or have experienced that in their past. So again, you know, these things are equal opportunity destroyers, right? They can hurt anyone, and no one should hesitate to reach out for help, because there is a lot of help and support available.
Right, which is great. And I know for years you had the second floor line, and always out there always being on a cutting edge, trying to help as many people, whether it's youth, elderly, like you said, LGBTQ, whatever person is suffering, you're there to help them. So that really is a godsend for us. I really mean that.
It really is a privilege, you know, Tom, to serve the community. And
that's incredible. So now, if viewers wanted to help, you know, get involved with, you know, and really help support you, help folks that have been affected by violence, what's the best way to do so?
I think there's so many different ways, whether it's fundraising, whether it's volunteering for direct service, whether it's, you know, getting the word out to friends and family and neighbors about our services. So I would, again, direct people either to our hotline or to our website. And those are the best ways to reach us. And if you want to help and or need help.
And again, your website is 180nj.org. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's right.
Okay, that's great. Yes, and we'll put up the hotline numbers on the screen as well. So again, Anna, you know, a tremendous person. Believe me, viewers, Anna Diaz-White is an angel among us, and she does phenomenal work. The organization, the staff, the board, everybody working in concert to really help make our communities better. And thank goodness we have folks like you that can really do that tough work that you do on a regular basis. So bless you. We thank you.
Likewise, Tom. Thank you, and thanks, Scan.
All right. Very good. We wish you well. And to our viewers, right back after this wonderful commercial. So hang in there. We have another wonderful guest after the break.
At the Save Green Project from New Jersey Natural Gas, we're bringing you rebates and incentives, including 0% APR financing, right on your natural gas bill to help make energy efficiency affordable. And with the possibility of no upfront costs and special incentives for moderate income customers, investing in equipment upgrades doesn't have to be out of reach. Go to SaveGreenProject.com for details on available rebates and incentives to help you upgrade to energy-efficient HVAC and water heating equipment. You could also be eligible for thousands of dollars in incentives for seal-up and insulation fixes. In the long run, you could be saving money on your energy bills too. Visit us at SaveGreenProject.com. That's SaveGreenProject.com.
Hello and welcome back to Scans Community Connection. Again, we have actually two wonderful guests with us for the second part of the show. We have Diane Kinnane, who's the Executive Director of Monmouth Habitat for Humanity, as well as Felicia Levine, who is the Director of Development. Again, two wonderful young ladies who I had the pleasure of knowing for a while now and do great work in the community. So welcome to both of you. Diane first, and welcome to you.
Good to see you, Tom.
Good to see you as well. And Felicia, as well, great to see you as well.
Nice seeing you, Tom.
Great. It's funny, I think we were on a phone, like a Zoom call just like a couple of weeks ago and talking about all the wonderful stuff that you do. So I have to say the beautiful part of me being able to be the host of this program is that I know so many wonderful people. So like for me, it's like such a joy to get together. And it's like you're just having a little coffee clutch or something and just chatting.
Yeah.
And now our viewers get to learn about all the wonderful programs and all the great stuff that you do. So with that in mind, I'd like to start maybe with the first question for you, Diane, is what has been the impact of the pandemic on Habitat for Humanity in Monmouth County?
Well, we, like many nonprofit organizations, took a financial hit during the pandemic. You know, our two primary revenue streams were hit hard. Our Restore, which is our retail operation in Freehold, we had to close the store. And on the fundraising side, we had to cancel our major annual event, A Taste for Home, and a number of smaller events that, you know, generate income for us. So yes, finances were a big issue. We also had to furlough staff, and we kept a skeleton crew on, Felicia being one of them. So we could, you know, apply for grants because there were some very generous organizations, corporations, you know, foundations, obviously the government, and we were able to apply for grants. And we wanted to stay in touch with the community. What I found after Sandy was, you know, people feel a lot more comfortable reaching out to a community organization when they're in need rather than government. So it was important for us to keep our family services manager in place. We did keep our construction going. We were building, but it was a very different build without our volunteer crews. You know, we typically have about 2,500 to 3,000 hours per build of volunteer. This house, we did complete a house in Long Branch last summer, and a family did move in. It was built with two of our construction staff, one volunteer, and subcontractors. So yes, we built a home, but it was a bit more expensive without those volunteers. And we were fortunate to start another home in Long Branch. So we did continue to build. So I always try to find like the silver lining and some good things. You know, we were fortunate we were able to reopen Restore. We were able to bring back our staff. Our admin staff are working remotely. We're continuing, as I said, to build. But, you know, we learned, like we have in other challenges, to adapt and adapt quickly to change and to think more creatively. And I think one of the most important things, it really strengthened a lot of our connections with other organizations. Like we're doing more partnerships with, you know, food banks, you know, with some of our fellow housing nonprofit developers. So that was the good thing. So for me, it was, we're more creative. We're definitely resilient. There's no doubt about it. And, you know, we're survivors. We survived. So all in all, you know, things worked out.
That's great. And you know, when you talk about like working with some of the other agencies to provide services, I think that's great when organizations kind of become more holistic, because you have a family that, you know, obviously to qualify for the home has to meet certain guidelines and things like that. And sometimes they don't have the health benefits that other people have. So you have the ability to connect them to a lot of those resources because you know them. So it's nice when an organization like yours does look to see how they can, you know, help their members or their families or clients in many ways. And I know we're going to talk to Felicia a little bit about the Restore a little bit later, but I'm glad to hear that it's back open and all that. So We'll get into that. I'll bite my tongue because I have less things to say about that, because I am a client. I do go there. I love that store. So, and I want to make sure our viewers, really get to know a little bit more about that. But for now, again, Diane, again, you've been in the head of the organization for a while, but like, what do you feel like really makes the Habitat for Humanity like qualified for doing this type of work for, affordable housing needs in the area?
Right. Well, it's interesting. Like, I'm often asked, like, how do you do it? Like, how do you build affordable housing in one of the most expensive counties in the state? And, my stock answer, and it's very sincere, is we don't do it alone. We are the beneficiary of tremendous support from the community. And, it starts right from the beginning. Most of our projects start with land or a home being donated by a municipality, donated by a corporation, by a foundation, or individuals. So, that's a tremendous, tremendous savings. We have a lot of professional services donated, attorneys, engineers, or, receive services at a very reduced rate. Donated materials, flooring, doors, windows, the trades, I have to thank the Electrical Workers Union, number 400. They donate they do our electrical work. And, last but not least, well, I shouldn't say last but not least, but, we do get a lot of financial support, again, from corporations and like New Jersey Natural Gas, from foundations, from churches, faith-based groups support us. We have campus chapters, high schools that do, fundraising for us for projects. We also rely on volunteers, and they're an important part of what we do. So yes, we're unique in many ways because of what we do, but it's how we do it. And we don't, as I said, we don't do it alone. We are very lucky.
Yeah, and that's great. And I always, when I talk to a lot of nonprofits, I always say that those in-kind services and materials, things that are so valuable and important that, for those that don't do it, it drives me crazy, because it's like, you get so much. And, I'm always out there like preaching to the choir pretty much, but, there's just some folks that just haven't really gotten that yet. And, like what you just ran through, that whole, list of all the folks that you work with. And I always say to nonprofits, no matter what you do, no matter what services you need or whatever, you have somebody to ask for that. Like, not everybody can give money, we like to give money as much as we can, but we don't always have money, but we have volunteers sometimes, or, we have conference rooms we lend out. I mean, there's all kinds of things that people can do for you that you just have to know who to ask or when. You can't always get a yes, but if you don't ask, you don't get, that's the same.
Right. And that's the funny thing. And that's what I learned a long time ago. What's the worst thing? Somebody says no. You pick up the phone and you make another call.
Right. Well, Felicia, now, it sounds like a tremendous undertaking, but how does Habitat accomplish its mission? Like,
well, I of course, Diane alluded to all the different facets that come into play when we do build a home, when we run our organization. Backing up to some of the, people that you mentioned, the volunteers in particular, the current value of a volunteer hour is just over $27 an hour.
Wow.
So if you calculate that out, 100 hours, you're talking $2,700, so it really adds up. If you have a group of people on a job site working 6 hours and there's 10 of them, it just multiplies. If we had to pay that out, it would be at $27 an hour. We wouldn't be able to afford it. But volunteers really are our backbone and make the whole construction process affordable. Not only our homes, but also our ramps and rails. We build wheelchair ramps for homes so that the homeowners can be accessible to their own home. They can, live in their own homes and don't have to move. And we also do a Brush with Kindness, which is a nice exterior program if an elderly or other person needed some help with maintaining their outside, you know, the shrubs and raking and that sort of thing. We do
Nice.
those little jobs, but you know, that maintains your property and then makes your neighbors happy, and you know, all goes well. But yeah, we do that mission, but also one of the biggest things we have, and you also referred to this too, is the Restore.
Mm.
So the Restore, how it works is many generous people in our community donate very lovely furniture. Perhaps they're moving, downsizing, perhaps they're renovating a kitchen and have beautiful cabinets that they want to donate to us. So we take it and then we sell it at a very fair price, and that money then goes back into our programs. So the people that donate get a tax, you know, receipt or charitable contribution receipt, and then we then again sell. Now, not only do we make money, but we are saving that furniture and those cabinets from going into the landfill.
Right, it's recycled. Yeah.
If they can't move it, they're going to throw it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we are also helping the environment. People don't think about that, but we are saving tons that are going into the landfill. And that's really important because, you know, it's all intertwined, you know, the environment, what we're doing, and building homes and taking care of wheelchair ramps. We're all trying to take care of our community. The other thing we talked about is collaborative work. During the pandemic, we ran 2 Fill the Truck campaigns, and where we worked with 2 local food banks, one in Keensburg and one in Freehold. And we helped a lot of our board members volunteered to gather up food at the local supermarkets.
Great. Now the Restore is at 45 South Street in Freehold.
That's right. That's right.
Great place, people. You got to go there and look at their stuff. And it's great to even purchase stuff to donate to other charities and fundraisers, all that kind of stuff. So definitely do that. I just want to make sure before we go that if people want to get a hold of you guys, what's the best way to do so?
So our website is www.habitatmonmouth.org. I also want to mention too that you can go there and find out our latest events. This spring, we're doing our Women Build from May 5th through the 8th. And a good opportunity to get women to come out and swing a hammer. And then in the fall, we'll have our golf outing, which is Monday, October 4th. And it is also World Habitat Day.
Great. Well, Diane and Felicia, thank you very much for your time. It's always wonderful learning about all the great things that Monmouth Habitat for Humanity is doing. Keep up the great work. We appreciate it. And to our viewers, thank you for watching Scans Community Connections. Again, you learned some great stuff from some wonderful people. So thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at future shows.